So what we're going to do today is we're going to try and turn these into these. So let's get on with it. So what we're going to use as a base coat is we're going to use Vallejo Olive Grey. Now you could use GW Dark Angels Green, which would be a great colour actually for rifles, but I haven't got it. And I just wanted mine not to be quite so dark green because at this scale they just look black. So we're just going to put a nice even coat all over everywhere. Did I say I'd watered this paint down? I've watered the paint down a little bit because you don't want it on too thick. And as ever, when I was doing a paint tutorial, painting guide, I don't like to call them tutorials because that would give the impression that I know what I'm doing. And I'm just like one of you guys. I'm just a hobbyist. I'm not a professional YouTuber, which is why I could probably do with better lighting and better camera angles and all that sort of stuff. But yeah. Anyway, you can see the general idea. We're just going to get a nice even coat all over all these models. Next colour we're going to do Vallejo Black Grey, and we're going to put this on every area that's going to be black. So again, remember to water your paints down a little bit. And what we're going to do is we're going to do all the shakos. Now the chords on these shakos would have been green, but we're just going to paint everything over in black for now. Now this is where you have to be kind of neat. I'm just going to swap to a slightly smaller brush, because what we're going to do is we're going to do all the cross belts. So this one, belt across the waist, and the shoulders. This strap down the middle is going to be done in bone, like that. So all the cross belts, and then on the backs of them we're going to do obviously the back of the shakos, trying to avoid the plume because we want that to stay green, like that. And we're going to do all the backpacks and the ammo pouch. So Bobby there, Bobby down that side, ammo pouch. The powder horn itself is going to get coloured. We're going to use bone on that. And the boots, although I invariably end up covering the boots when I do the basing. But yeah, all the areas that are going to be black, we're now going to tackle black grey. And as I said, with these minis, a lot of the work is in the prep. So when you're doing these cross belts in black, make sure you take your time. And the best way to keep your hand steady is like to wedge your painting hand onto your holding hand, and that will give you a bit of a steadier base to paint with. Right, let me crack on with that. So next up, we're going to do London Grey. What we're going to do with this is we're going to dry brush every area that we've already done in black grey, and that will be the black finished. Now if you want, it'll give you a very subtle highlight. If you want more of a stark highlight, then dry brush with light grey, but I like it just to be very subtle. And we're going to dry brush all the hats. Oh, got a bit mad, too much paint. Damn it. Dry brush all the hats. Dry brush all the cross belts very lightly. Thusly. Dry brush the backs of shakos. I'm just trying to get it on the top rim, but I have used a little bit too much paint. So just a subtle highlight, and then all the backpacks, oops, and the ammo pouches. And anyone that's wearing boots, we'll give them a bit of dry brush as well. Alrighty, why not? Okay, so it's just a little subtle dry brush. As I say, once the ink's gone on, you won't have to do anything more to these black areas. They are finito. So what we're going to do now is move on to the greatcoat rolls and the trousers. So we're sticking with a black grey, and we're not going to paint all the greatcoat rolls, we're just going to paint most of them. So that one, that one, trying to be fairly neat. Ooh. And that one. So with the 95th rifles, these being veterans, they would have been mostly wearing green trousers, but I'm going to give some of mine grey trousers, and I'll also be using German camo orange ochre on a couple of the trousers, just to give them that veteran look. If you're painting King's German Legion rifles, they would have mostly had grey trousers. And if you're painting 60th rifles, they would have had pretty much the same as the 95th, but they'd have had red collars and cuffs. So, oh yeah, point to note, I have painted all the cuffs black grey as well. So we're going to go over all these now, do the dry brushing, paint the trousers and the greatcoat rolls. So next colour I'm going to use is German Camo Orange Ochre. I'm going to pick out some of the backpacks and the trousers for this. I feel it just gives them a bit more of a campaign look by mixing up the trousers a little bit. We're not going to do too many. We'll just do this. It's so tricky to do this on camera. So we're just going to do this dude. Might need a couple of coats of this. Like that. It will dry a bit darker, so don't panic. And then any of the backpacks that I haven't painted. London Grey. I will now paint this German Camo Orange Ochre. Like that, thusly. And then on the, not forgetting, the fronts. So just a little dabby dobby there. And a little tiny bit in there next to the musket. And obviously I've done all the London Grey ones as well. So I'm going to go through and pick out all the bits and pieces that I want in this colour. So just before I forget, the officer has a red sash. So I'm going to use, for not for loud, I'm going to use Army Painter Dragon Red. And we are just going to paint that sash very quickly. So yeah, just around the waist. Like so, and same on the back. So next thing we're going to do, we're going to do the straps and the bread bag and the powder horn, and we're going to do all of them with skeleton bone. So I've mixed some up already. Don't forget to water your paints down a little bit. And so we're going for this strap here across the front that holds the bread bag. Thusly. The actual bread bag itself. Oh, got a bit on his hand, but that's okay. And there's a bit just above there. So just take your time, try and be as neat as you can. these are going to get highlighted. So all of them straps, and then if you turn it round, on the back here we've got the powder horn, so that's going to get a little bit of paint on it, and the back of the bread bag. So we're going to go through and do all of them on all the models. So next up we're going to use Vallejo Deep Sky Blue, and we're going to do all of the water bottles as the British water bottles were a light blue colour. Can't see any on the front of that one. A bit there. And there'll be a couple on the backs of them, I would imagine. So just go through and pick out all the little bits of the water bottle. Okay, the light's getting quite bad now, even for me, but I mean I can still see it paint, but the camera's just not picking up. We'll carry on, see how far we can get. So next up I'm going to be using Flat Earth Vallejo, that bad boy, and we're going to do wood. The rifles. I need to call them muskets again. They are rifles. So we're going to paint the whole thing. Don't worry about getting it all over the metal parts or the hands, because we'll paint them out afterwards. So anything that is wood, which on these guys I'm pretty sure it's just the actual rifles themselves. So we're going to paint out all of them. All that bit's done, so now is the time to put the flesh on. And for this I'll be using Vallejo Flat Flesh. I have tried a couple of different colours for the flesh, but I found this one needs the least amount of work once it's finished. So we're going to do all the faces. Try not to get too much over the hat. Try not to blob it too much. Probably got too much paint on that bit. And just paint them all, moving swiftly along. Get some paint off there. So if you do put too much paint on, just dry your brush off. Oops, and it will come off again. So yeah, I'm going to crack on, do all the flesh, all the hands. Okay, so I've just got a couple more colours to add. First one is we're going to use plate mail metal, and that's for the musket barrels and bayonets. And we are going to use old gold. You could use brass for any gold areas. So we'll very quickly crack on with this, because I'm trying to get it done before I lose the light altogether. And that way I can get them highlighted tomorrow. So we're just going to do the bayonets, not the bayonet handle, because that will be old gold. Just down the side of the head there, like that. Sure you saw any of that. And the musket barrel, and the firing lock. And the same with this dude, just a musket barrel, firing lock. Just try and be neat. Like that. Right, I'm going to crack. Oh, hang on. Also in silver. Oops, sorry. Also in silver, all the buttons. So just a little dobby on that button, a dobby on that button, the belt buckle itself. So we're just going to do all the silver bits on them, and the gold or the brass will be the cap badge. So we'll just blob all that in and then let the ink do the work once it's dry. Okay, let me do all that. That is all the base coats done. So now what we're going to do is we're going to cover everything with, I'm going to use strong tone ink. I've also mixed a little bit of matte medium into this to make sure it isn't shiny. Now I use strong tone ink because it gives you like a dirty weathered look. You could use dark tone ink or Nuln Oil if you want a fresher, cleaner look. But I always use strong tone or Agrax just to get that dirty look. And we are basically just going to splotch this all over everything. Front and rear. I'm glad I managed to get this done today because that means I can leave this dry and finish these off tomorrow, and hopefully the light will be better and I'll be able to show you how I do the highlighting. So I'm going to do the rest of these now and then we'll start the highlighting process. Okay, so I've got these to the ink stage. Now you could very well just leave them at this stage if you wanted, but I think one more little highlight will just make them pop. And as you can see, this is where the F comes in. So these are the fronts and these are the back guys. So on the fronts, get this to focus, we're going to highlight just the red bag strap. Ooh. And the actual bread bag itself. So we're going to do that on all of the front guys. It's been awkward now. All the front guys, and on the backs we're just going to do this side strap here on this dude, and all the bread bags you can see on the back. But we're not going to highlight any of the other ones because once they're lined up you won't even see them. Right, so as you can see, just doing that, it just makes them pop. So you could leave them at that stage if you like, and as I said, with these I've only highlighted the backs of everything, powder horns and bread bags, because the backs of these are not going to be seen. So next thing I'm going to do is something I should have done really before I put the ink on, but I didn't, so we're going to do it now. So anything with an F on, we're going to paint the straps of the backpacks. Just the tops of the greatcoat rolls on the ones with an F, because the actual backpack itself won't be seen. It's just a case of trying to follow them lines. Put a little black liner. Like that. So that's them. And then the ones that are the rear rank, we're going to paint the whole thing, all the strap all the way down. So we start with the greatcoat rolls, and then we're going to go all the way down that line, just so them straps stand out a little bit more. Okay. So can't remember if I mentioned it, but for the strapping, what I did was I used skeleton bone off-white, about 60-40 in favour of off-white. So next thing, as I say, you could just leave them here now, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to just put a highlight of yellow German camo ochre, German camo orange ochre, same base colour as I used before on the trousers, and I'm just going to put a little highlight on all of the trousers, just up to the knees, a little bit there. And that's it, just to make them pop a bit. And I will also do all the greatcoat rolls, so we'll just put a line on each edge, one in the middle, like that. So I'll crack on and do all of them again with these. Oh, I've already painted the fronts out, so I shouldn't have done, damn it. I'm only highlighting the backs of the ones without an F and the fronts of the ones with an F. So I've moved my palette to the other side so you don't get getting shots of my arm. Professional now. So I'm now going to highlight the green. Everyone that's got any green, olive grey. And again, I'm just going to concentrate. The F will only get highlighted on the fronts. We're just going for a little dot of highlight. We're only going to put one highlight on the green. And then some of them have got green trousers, so we'll do them as well. Again, only the fronts on these. So, and then the backs of the other ones. Okay, so now we're on to the grey for the trousers. Now, for some strange reason, I've decided the grey needs 2 highlights. So I'm going to use London grey first. As the same as before, we're just going to pick out just the raised areas with the London grey. Tops of his knees, bit there, that kind of dobby. And again, just the fronts of these, backs of the others, and then we're going to go in afterwards with a highlight of London grey, light grey, about 50-50. Damn it. Okay, so that's the grey on there. I think I could do one more highlight on these, and I'm going to stop filming this video because it's just too dark. So now, we've done that 50-50 mix. We're just going to pick out just the high areas. It will just make these little miniatures pop. Just doing that. Right, I'm going to crack on to them all. I think I'll finish this video tomorrow. Okay, so lighting's still horrendous, but if I don't crack on, I'll never get this video done. So we're going to use Deep Sky Blue. We're going to do all the water bottles because we are not far off of finishing, to be fair. So on the rear rank, guys, it's just picking out this water bottle here on his side, and then deep in the recesses there's a few little bits of water bottles, so just a bit there, tiny bit there. You don't have to do this, I just think it makes them just stand out that tiny little bit if you do. So all the water bottles, and on the fronts don't bother, on the fronts you'll also have to catch, but I don't think there are any on the fronts, it's just the sides. Okay, so the very last thing I'm going to do, and this is again completely optional, you don't have to do this, is I'm going to highlight the little cockades, feathers on the hats. Completely unnecessary, you don't have to do it, but I'm going to do it. So first of all, I'm going to use Warburst Green, and then on the very tips I'm going to put some moot green. So let's start off with a Warburst Green. So yeah, we're just going to do like halfway up the plume with these, even the bottom half dark green, like so. I'm getting used to this new camera that I've got. Keeps swapping from one lens to another. It's very confusing. So then moot green just on the tips, like that. And that's it. These are done. So what I'll do after that is I'll glue them all to bases, base them, and show you the finished lot. Finally. And here they are, the completed 95th rifles. So just get them spinning around. I've decided to go with 6 stands for these. But obviously if I'm using black powder, I can break these down a lot more. And I might as well quickly show you, hadn't I? So we'll just stop that there. So we would have, that would be a tiny unit. That would be a small unit. That would be a regular unit. And that would be a large unit. So it doesn't take up anywhere near the space as it would for 28mm. and you can get some really, you'll be able to get some really big battles using this broken down bases. Now, to show them in skirmish order, what I do in my rules, and you could do this I suppose for Black Powder as well, is just stagger the bases like that. Why won't it focus? Yeah, just stagger the bases, and that shows like in a skirmishing order. Let me focus if I started spinning. Kind of. So there you go, 95th rifles, and I think it works well, the campaign look with the different coloured trousers and that. I'm not sure what unit I'm going to do next. This is not really working very well at all, is it? So there you go. Hope all your projects going well. Catch you in the next one.